Hey guys, welcome to our presentation about chocolate. It's pretty well known that chocolate is one of the greatest things about life in general. And when we were thinking about what we want to do for this project, we got to thinking, is there anything we learned in micro that we could use to look at the chocolate production process and see if we could make it cheaper to produce or make it taste even better. And so that's what I'm here to tell you about to start. We need to figure out what exactly is the chocolate production process. How is this delicious candy staple in all around the world created? And so we got to looking at that, and the very first step in the process is a fermentation process, which we are pretty familiar with thanks to this class. And so the first step in the fermentation process is you take your Theobroma cacao beans, that's the scientific name of those the cocoa beans that we use, and those are fermented in a huge vat or in jars, and there's lots of different ways you can do it. And there's yeast inside the fermentation process, and what that yeast does is it takes the sugars that are in the pulp of the cocoa bean and it breaks them down into ethanol, and eventually that ethanol is converted into acetic acid, and eventually that acetic acid is converted into things like carbon dioxide and water. And what that process does is it generates a bunch of heat, and that heat raises temperature to about roughly 45 degrees Celsius, which eventually ends up killing off the yeast, which my group is going to tell you is going to be quite important. But what it also does is it kills off the cocoa bean cell in general. And when the cocoa bean cell is killed, the cell wall is degraded, and all those delicious intracellular cocoa bean contents are leaked out of that cell, and they are set free. And it's those intercellular contents that really lead to the development of the chocolate flavor profile and even the color and all sorts of things like that. So when you have those cells and they're all dead, and you collect them and they're dried and they're cleaned and then they're roasted, and then those cocoa beans are then peeled and they're ground up into this thing called cocoa mass, and that's essentially pure chocolate in rough form. And that can then be liquefied and hardened into whatever form that the chocolate creators want, like a Hershey's candy bar, for example. So I hope you enjoyed this little tiny snippet of chocolate production, and I know my group's going to tell you the rest about the actual production process and how much that costs and all sorts of other things like that. Sorry I couldn't be there for it. I hope you enjoy the rest of the presentation. Thanks, guys.